Hey guys, it is Dr. Elisa Song, and I am here today. We are talking all about mindfulness and meditation for kids and why our kids need this now more than ever. So I'm going to wait to see, hey guys, when my very special guest, Emily Fletcher, will join us. But in the meantime, I'm just going to keep chatting with you guys. So, as you guys know, if you guys have been following me for a while, you know how important mindfulness, meditation, and really engaging our vagus nerve is for not just feeling good, right? Not just feeling happy. Of course, that is really amazing and what we want, but we need mindfulness, meditation, and engaging our vagus nerve for our immune health, for proper focus and attention, no matter what school looks like for your kids right now, right? To get good night's sleep, to reduce inflammation, to reduce chronic disease. So we know how important this is. And I wanted to have Emily Fletcher come on and join me. I'm going to see if she's on. I actually don't know. Let's see here. If she is here. So I'm going to type in her name and just request that she join. All right. Send request. In the meantime, you guys can keep chatting with me. All right. So the reason right now, as we go through the pandemic, and we are all of us here facing pandemic fatigue, right? Who isn't, right? I mean, raise your hands up. Give me a heart if you guys are just getting tired of all of this. And our kids are tired. We're tired. We're stressed. And, when I posted in the Healthy Kids, Happy Kids on my Instagram account, I posted a request to hear from you guys. What topics would you guys like to hear about? What topics would you guys like me to teach you about from A to Z, right? Anything goes. And you want to know what one of the top things was? In fact, it probably was the top request for me to teach you guys about an integrative and holistic approach was. It was anxiety. Right? Anxiety for us as parents and anxiety in our kids. Our kids are stressed more than ever. And so we really need to figure out how do we manage our anxieties. Now, managing our anxieties doesn't mean shoving them under the carpet. It doesn't mean pretending like they're not there. It doesn't mean avoiding what's stressing us and trying to distract ourselves with something that makes us feel good. It means learning the tools to be able to positively and productively handle that stress, handle whatever's causing us anxiety, and then move on and become resilient, right? Have the tools to build immune resilience, emotional resilience, cellular resilience. We need that. And we only gain resilience by going through a stressor and coming out of it successfully. And that's something that we can learn how to do with mindfulness and meditation. I'm going to see if Emily is here. I don't actually see Emily coming on, and I really want. Here we go. I see her now. It's Emily, but she's logging on as zivaMeditation. So we have a really special surprise for you, and this is what I really wanted to have Emily on for. Hi, Emily. Okay, I've been chatting with our amazing listeners and really giving a background on why mindfulness and meditation are so important now. They're always important, right? They're always important, but really now for our kids who are more stressed than ever, who have more chronic disease than ever, mindfulness and meditation is the way not just to feel happy, right? Feel calm, but to really support our immune system and our brain health. So I wanted to have you come on to really explain a lot of this and how it applies to kids. So guys, Emily is here. Emily is amazing. I met Emily at a health and wellness entrepreneur conference. It's called Mindshare Summit. And this was, I don't know, years ago. I think Emily, it was
5 years ago.
right. It was even before you had Jasper, right? How
Yeah,
old is
for
Jasper
sure.
now?
He's 2.5.
2.5, that's such a fun age. And so I remember when I met Emily years ago, I'm like, what about a meditation for kids, right? There's nothing really like that. No course that really teaches kids the foundations of not just mindfulness and meditation, but how do we then teach our kids to use that to manifest the life of their dreams, right?
Yeah.
The life that we want for them. And so now, guys, Emily is launching zivaKIDS, right? zivaKIDS. So really excited to have Emily share more about that with you. And this is something my kids, right, 9 and 11, I actually got the sneak peek beta version to play around with Kenzie and Bodhi, and it's perfect. Anyway, we're going to go into that. Super excited. So Emily, can you tell me, let's go just a little bit of background on how zivaKIDS came to be? Because I remember when we spoke about it, you're like, that sounds like a good idea, but I really don't do meditation for kids, but I'm going to think about it. And so now it happened. So how did that manifest?
Well, I have to give you a huge shout out here because you were one of the first people. So I remember at conference, I stood up, I think I led a meditation and you like beeline to me and you're like, have you ever thought meditation for kids? I was like, no way, not me. I don't teach kids. And then once I think becoming a mom and seeing how it's like your heart living outside of you and to see your kid stressed or to see your kid experiencing intense emotions is intense, right? Like for us as parents. And I think the tendency is to want to squash them, right? To want to be like, don't be sad, don't be angry. Like you were saying earlier, to just push those intense feelings under the rug. And then what we end up with is a host of chronic diseases and emotional ailments we have to deal with later on in therapy, or repressed emotions, or us judging them as bad. So anyway, I started looking. I was like, let me find a partner. Let me find someone in the space who's doing a great job with kids meditation. And I just couldn't find anything that was
Yeah.
both powerful enough and entertaining enough for me to want to share with my family. And so I was like, okay, I guess I'm doing this. Dr. Song was right. And so because I knew I wasn't an expert, like I'm an expert at teaching high performing adults to meditate. I'd say I'm one of the world's best, but teaching kids was new and it's a different deal. So I was like, let me not assume expert status on this. Let me reach out to the best of the best. So I called one student who happened to be a puppeteer at Sesame Street, and she introduced me to a writer at Sesame Street and then a puppet builder at Sesame Street. And so we spent about a year creating Z Bunny. So Z Bunny is my co-star in the course.
He's so
And
cute. He's awesome.
the funniest. I love him so much. And then I started collaborating with mindful educators from Harvard. I started working with Rye, child psychologists. So we really got like an elite team. Dr. Shafali, who's been on Oprah 8 times. She wrote The Conscious Parent, The Awakened Family. And so we brought on this real mod squad of experts. And it's been 2 years in development. And it's coming out in 2 Tuesdays, February 23rd. And I'm just so excited about it. And even though I was a little resistant to start, I'm really glad that I said yes to your
You
nudge.
went with it.
Yeah.
Right. And we all need this. And, you know, as a holistic pediatrician, what I really, really want parents to understand and children to understand is that learning mindfulness and meditation, it's not just something that you do on the side when you have time, right? This is something that we want to consider as just as powerful medicine as the food we eat, right?
Yeah.
Or, you know, the supplements we might take, right? This
Yeah.
is so key. And I have so many kids who, you know, come to me with chronic illness. And as we know, I mean, now over 1 in 2 kids is diagnosed with a chronic illness. And sure, we can use functional medicine and we can use, you know, homeopathy, herbs, diet, and lifestyle to get kids well, to even get them into remission. But here's the thing, right? We can get them well, but they'll often slide back. And why is that? It's because they're not reducing the biggest source of inflammation, which is our mind, right?
So I think a lot
So,
of people don't connect those two things. They think that meditation is just a mental tool, and they don't understand that when your mind is stressed, your body is going to be stressed. Like when we go into fight or flight, the body gets acidic. It produces adrenaline and cortisol, which are stress hormones. And those stress hormones are acidic in nature. That acidity leads to inflammation, and
yep.
inflammation is the basis of all chronic disease.
Yes,
So that
yes.
to your point, it's like, it's not just like a cute side activity that you get around to when you have more time. This is like the single most important piece of mental health and mental like maintenance, not even maintenance because it's growth, but we need to be practicing it every single day. Just like you take a shower every day, take a bath every day because you get dirty. Same thing, you get stressed every day, so you want to clean your brain up.
Totally clean your brain up, right? We need sleep and meditation to do that, right? You don't want your brain kind of stewing in just this toxic soup of inflammation. So, So, I mean, it's so key. And I will tell you, you know, now that I have a regular meditation practice and start every morning with a meditation, on the days where I'm rushed or feel like, oh, I don't have time this morning, right? It changes the whole day. It changes the way the whole day progresses. And that little bit of time you could have taken out to actually do some self-care and clean your brain out. I love that analogy, right? Get your brain started to fill it back up with the rest of the day will save you so much time in efficiency, less fighting with your kids, less fighting with your partner, less like just like dreading being at work, right? It
Yeah.
sets the stage. And could you imagine if your kids could start every day like that,
I
right?
can imagine because, as you said, you've been part of the sneaky beta test group. And so we've had a few hundred people go through zivaKIDS as like early testers. And my marketing team and I are both we've all just been in tears, like all day, every day, watching videos of kids doing this, hearing parents saying, like, I never thought my kid would meditate, but she's doing it every day on her own.
Yeah.
My kid stopped biting his nails. They're able to go to sleep at night. Their school anxiety is not overwhelming them anymore. And so just hearing that, or I feel so grateful that I have a meditation practice that we can do together now.
Yes.
It becomes like this family bonding activity instead of like, can you guys shut up while I'm meditating?
I know, right?
Like,
Oh,
do
I've
not
done
interrupt while
that.
he's meditating. And you get like rage. And so now you can do it together and your kids will understand what you're doing.
That's right.
Like anyone that's thinking like there's no way my kid could ever sit still. So zivaKIDS is for ages 4 to 14. And so for the 4 to 8 year olds, one, Z Bunny is my sidekick. He's making it super fun and entertaining. But two, there's a movement practice that we start with. So we have kids like shake through the stormies is what we call them, like shaking through their big emotions. And just like when animals get stressed and they shake off their stress. So we start the practice like that for kids, and it like gets the energy out and it opens up their heart, and they do affirmations, and then they sit down into a seated meditation. And it's not very long, but just like in potty training, there's a window where kids are primed and optimal, like the optimal learning phase for potty training. They understand it, they can communicate, but they're not fully like willfully independent yet. And there's a
Yes.
sweet spot. And I
Hmm.
think that it's similar with meditation. There is a sweet spot where their prefrontal cortex is not fully developed yet. And they're existing in this sort of right brain, expanded consciousness. Their imagination is so alive. They turn inward already for their own emotional regulation. And so if we can introduce these tools to them in that sweet spot of an age range before we start turning to, social media and the cool kids and grades and college applications and boyfriends and girlfriends and all the external pressures that we put on ourselves, if we can start to train our kids to go inside for their bravery, for their creativity, for their kindness, like these are skills that will stay with them their whole lives.
Absolutely. And I want to let people know, I mean, if you guys have been following me for a while, you know that I recommend different, online apps that are meditations for kids. But there's something so unique about zivaKIDS because it's not just a one-off. It's not just oh, we're going to practice this one meditation, right?
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
also not something that you have to nag your kids to do. It's a course made for children. Okay, it's
Yeah.
a course made for kids that they go through. And I love that it's called a course, right? In a really fun way. And when Emily said it's meant for kids from 4 all the way to 14, it's broken up. So when you go, you'll see from 4 to 8, it's really meant for younger kids, right? It has a playfulness, shorter meditations, shorter exercises, right? More fun. I mean, we need to make this fun for kids. And they go through a series of meditation classes, right? Where they learn the kindness, the bravery, how to be a superhero, right? And
Yeah.
then what I love about the next stage, right? Because that's the play course. And then you have the course that's for 9 to 14-year-olds that's called Grow. And that is just beautiful because when you're older, as older kids, they want to know what's going on, right? They want to know, like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And they want to really be invested in it. So there's a workbook that they can work through. And the meditations are the each section really dives in a little bit deeper, a little bit longer, really what our preteens and teenagers want. So I love it.
Thanks. Yeah, we wanted to share the science behind what's going on because I know when I was 12 going on 30. and I didn't want to waste my time. I
Hmm.
wanted to do what the cool kids were doing. So I definitely start the preteens with like, hey, Ariana Grande meditates. Like, hey, this TikTok star is
That's
meditating.
right. That's right.
Um, and then Z Bunny does make like a few appearances in the older ones, but I'm like, Z Bunny, get out of here. Like they're too old for you. But what I keep hearing is that even the preteens are like, where's Z Bunny? Can he come back? I mean, I'm not into
Totally.
puppets, but I would hang out with Z Bunny for like a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. Now, in terms of some of the feedback that you've heard from the young kids and the older kids who've done the beta program, what are you hearing? What are they saying about going through Ziva Kids?
Well, I'll tell you that there's like a few butt jokes in the very beginning, and so we've gotten a lot of rave reviews on the butt jokes. It's
Oh, yeah. My son, he's all into that for sure.
like just know your audience more. I think, yeah, I won't give the spoiler alert, but basically, what I'm saying there is that I think people really like Z Bunny. They think he's really funny, and especially in the 4 to 8 year old range, those kids are asking for more. They're like, "Oh, we wanted more lessons. We wanted it to be
Yes.
longer." And my fear was that the parents were going to be like, "Oh gosh, you want me to do 7 days of this?" Like I didn't want it to feel like a chore for the parents or for the kids. And so this is the best problem to have as a course creator, because like we can always make more material. We can always
Yes.
extend it and give, like once they graduate, we can do continuing education and really enrich the experience as they go. And then for the preteens, it's the initial response was like, well, I don't know how to inspire my kid to do it. And the real answer there is you got to clean your own house. Like you want your kids to
Yeah.
meditate, you have to meditate yourself. Just like in the Suzuki method of learning violin, they won't even let a child touch a violin until the parent can play 2 songs. Because
Mm.
if you don't understand the complexity, the intensity, or how to hold the instrument or have reverence for it, then you're not going to be able to guide the child. And so really for our preteens, it's important that they know that yes, the cool kids are doing it. So there's a lot of other preteens in it. So I have like older kids, people who've been doing Ziva for like 5 years. Like I have an 18-year-old boy who learned when he was 15.
Yeah.
He's now like captain of his lacrosse team and straight A student. And he talks about how there's no way he could have made through, his work and sports load if he didn't have Ziva. And so there's just a lot of like peer encouragement and science, and it's just been so fun. Yeah,
I love
I'm
that.
like I
And
said,
it is so true. There is a parent tutorial, right? So parents can, right, understand too, because for some parents, you may never really have meditated, or maybe you've tried and you thought, well, I can't quiet my mind, right? I don't know how to meditate. I'm not good at it. And so the thing is, you don't have to be good at it. We're all good at it in the way that we should be. And you learn, right? You keep learning. And so there's no shoulds. And that's what I love about, Emily, the way you teach. I love the way that you teach too in the grow course, how you're kind of like, it's like tough love, right? You just like, you got to commit to it. Sorry, right?
yeah, I'm
There's
like,
no
there's gonna be
easy
days you don't
way.
enjoy this meditation. I don't care if you enjoy this meditation.
Yep.
I care how you feel in the rest of your life. How are
That's
your
right.
relationships? How's your school performance? Are you enjoying your extracurricular activities? Are you riddled with stress and not able to sleep at night? Like that's what I care about. I don't care if they're sitting on unicorns and rainbows during the meditation, right?
I
I
want
have
to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds fun, but not the point. I have a developer, like a full-time developer and on staff at Ziva, and she's Russian but lived like 15 years in Israel. She was Israeli military. It was a funny story. She's tough, and she has 2 kids. And people were asking for badges. Like they were like, wait, because we've sort of gamified it. So when you finish a
Yes.
course, you get this badge. And some people were saying, well, like I finished half the thing, but my badge didn't show up. And she goes, you didn't earn it. Like, we just have a recording of like this tough love of like, you want a badge, you got to earn it.
That's right. That's right. And there was a question, a comment above saying, "Well, I hope I can get my 5-year-old to do it." But I know there are parents who are thinking, "I hope I can get my 12-year-old to do it. I hope I can get my 8-year-old to do it." And here's the thing, it's one thing for us as parents, to say, "You should do it because it's really going to help your brain, right? It's going to help you be healthier." Kids don't really care about that, right? But like Emily was mentioning, the high schooler who is captain of his lacrosse team, right? Who is a high performer. You say, look, you do this, it's going to help you be the best athlete that you can be, like hands
Yeah.
down, right? Or maybe your kid is a violin player and they want to be, perform on stage. You say, look, this is going to help you remember your score and be the best violin player you can be. Or it's going to help you be the fastest runner you can be. Whatever's going to motivate them. Because guaranteed, whatever they would like to do and do better, you're going to be able to do that with meditation, right? That's going to just help you get into that mindset. And it's not just the mindset, it's literally the physiologic readiness to be your best, right?
Recovery time, memory, creativity, intuition, all of these things, the X factor, the presence, nerves. Meditation helps with all of those things. And thank you for highlighting like that specific piece, because it was really important to me when we created zivaKIDS that this didn't come out of the gate as like, there's something wrong with you, there's something wrong with your
Mm-hmm.
kids, our kids are more stressed than they've ever been. Like, of course that's true, but nobody needs to be reminded about how stressed like kids are right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Like we're living it. You know, we understand the long tail impact of this loneliness and this stress that's happening on all of us. And so it's like even more important that we manage it. But I did not want people to associate Ziva with like, oh, there's something wrong with me, especially kids. I instead, just like what I teach with adults, it's like, look, you want to be a better CEO? Great. Clean your brain. You want to
Mm-hmm.
be a better mom? Amazing. Handle your stress. You're going to be more creative and present. You want to be a better author? Beautiful. Meditation is going to plug you into creative intelligence itself. And so we approach that same way, but with kids. So Z Bunny is training to be a superhero. And that's like his big dream. He wants to be a superhero. And every day he faces challenges, like we all do. And so each day I teach him a new skill that helps him unlock his superpowers inside of him. And
Mm-hmm.
that was another important thing, is that I didn't want kids to think like, well, once I achieve something, then I will be kind. Once I achieve something, then I will be brave. It's like, no, you already have that inside of you.
That's
Meditation
right.
helps you to unlock it so that you can really step into the superhero that you already are.
Yes, I love that. I also love that you tell Z Bunny that you can't teach him how to fly, right? That's not what meditation does, right? What meditation does and mindfulness does is it takes your inherent abilities, right? Your most powerful and unique self, and it activates that, right? I mean, you could be the best version of you, and just by activating your mind to see that possibility.
Yes, I love that. And that to me goes into the manifesting that you were mentioning, to where yes, we do the mindfulness, which to me is like the appetizer. That's handling your stress in the now. The meditation piece is the main course, which is
Okay.
handling stress from the past, which even kids have stress from their past.
Hmm.
You know, birth trauma, stopping breastfeeding, potty training, starting school, siblings being born, moves, divorces, like all of these things can get stored in our cells as kids. Forget about like food and pandemics and everything else, just life can get stored in our cells. So that's what the meditation is healing, that accumulation of old stresses. And then the manifesting part, we do this thing called the wish balloon. So we have kids like imagine this balloon and they put all of their wishes into it and release it out into the world. And I love it because it's a light touch. You know, it's not like I have to hold on to my dreams and
Hmm.
make them happen. It's no, we get clear on them, we communicate them, and then we let them go.
Yeah.
And so even that is moving us towards the life we want to live, not like, oh, let me fix something that's wrong with me.
That's right. And
Mhm.
these are things that these are tools that you can use yourself. I mean, these are things, if you do these meditations with your kids, even if whether you're doing the play one where there's a lot of Z Bunny, or whether you're doing the grow one with your older kids, you will get benefit too by doing this with your kids. And what's interesting, that the balloon exercise, I did that in a totally grown up conference. This was a business conference, and we all had blue balloons, right? We blew into the balloon and we just manifested, we envisioned the life that we love, right? Our future business, what our future career, future, family life, whatever it is, right? We put all of our future in that balloon, and then we released it to the
Wow.
universe, right? And it was
Wow.
really powerful. Like all these things we can totally do.
And were you actually using balloons, or was it in your imagination?
We had balloons. There's
Wow.
something about, because I am not a big, it's hard for me to blow balloons. So there really was something about the effort of like blowing it really hard and like watching it grow and then releasing it and seeing the balloon just like twirling around the room. it was
Oh,
it
I
was
love
amazing, right? So I mean,
it.
absolutely, I would do that for sure. So I mentioned that the zivaKIDS is so different than some of the apps that you'll have online, whether it's for young kids. And there are some amazing apps out there, right? I mean, I use Insight Timer. I tell my kids to use, teenagers to use the Breathe app. For the younger kids, there's a Stop, Breathe, Think app as well. But zivaKIDS is totally different. So can you explain, how is zivaKIDS different? Like why would someone look into zivaKIDS if maybe they've tried Stop, Breathe, Think? People know I love the square breathing in there, right? The box breathing exercise. But what can zivaKIDS do for our kids that these apps really don't have the ability to do?
Yeah, so I think just like you, I think that apps have their place, and I think that I'm really grateful that they exist, and so many millions of people are now turned on to meditation because of things like Headspace and Calm, which is awesome. And for me personally, I don't understand the idea of going to your phone for your time to unplug. To me, this is like having an AE meeting in a liquor store. Like, why would we go into the belly of the beast in order to unplug? And I know that there's, especially with Zoom school right now, parents are very aware of the amount of screen time that kids are having. And so, yes, we utilize technology to get the information into the kids' consciousness, but it's a 7-day course that's designed to make you self-sufficient. So once you graduate, your kids are going to have these tools to take with them for life. They don't need me. They don't need Z-Bunny. They're not glued to more screen time when you want them to be connecting with their higher selves, when you
Yes.
want them to be reducing their stress and not, increasing the optic, like the blue light in their optic nerve. So that's a big thing, is that it's one, making your kids self-sufficient. Two, they don't have to be tethered to a phone in order to meditate. Three, the practice itself is more powerful than anything that I've found out there, because it's not just mindfulness. Most of the apps are just teaching like the appetizer of the Ziva technique. So yes, we do breathing techniques. So we'll do the belly balloons. That's like a rhythmic extended exhale, similar effect to the box breathing. So we'll start with that. We also add movement, so it's just fun and getting the jitters out. But then the meditation portion, in my opinion, is really where the magic happens. And that's where we're healing all that old accumulated stress from our past. And then the 3 M's of the Ziva technique, the mindfulness, the meditation, and the manifesting, I don't know anywhere that is teaching that all together, and that's doing it in a way that makes you the expert, that makes you able to do it on your own without being tethered to a phone.
I love that. And, it's so important for kids and teenagers. As we said, this is not just for kids who are anxious, right?
Yes.
But every single one of us has moments where we're stressed, right? And stress in itself is not a bad thing. It's how we experience that stress and what we do with it that can become productive or not productive, right? And stress doesn't wait till you're alone to meditate, right? To be in your bedroom. So this is something that if kids have these tools and they're stressed, like right before they have to stand up and give a presentation, or they're stressed, right before they're about to take an exam, they can go inward and do meditation and, practice right there. Nobody has to know a thing. Right? I mean, it's so powerful. And this is what we want for our kids. We want them to think about, in high school, once kids hit high school, that's when I really start talking to kids and parents about, okay, we have you for 4 more years at home. Let's think about how we're going to get you ready to be a self-sufficient grown-up. Right?
Yeah.
Because once you leave the house, I mean, maybe you'll come back, but this is your golden opportunity, right? So I let them know, okay, you need to be able to cook a healthy breakfast, lunch, and dinner that doesn't just get thrown into the microwave, right? You need to be able to do a load of laundry. You need to be able to fold your laundry. You also need to be able to have the tools to manage your stress appropriately, no matter what happens, right? And that's where, if they learn the tools of zivaKIDS, right, the mindfulness and meditation and the manifesting, it's not just going to help them through college, but for the rest of their lives, whatever they choose to do, with their lives. So it's really, it's so powerful. This is what we want for our kids. We want them to grow up to be independent, successful, happy human beings, right? And really the best version of themselves, like we said. And really, yes, you can teach them the right foods to eat, that you have to exercise, that you have to sleep. But if you're missing this piece, missing the mindfulness, meditation, manifestation piece, it's really going to be challenging to be the best you.
Yeah, because like just for like for us as adults, if you're super stressed, you had a terrible day, you could have the best plans to go home and make a salad and drink it's 3 cups of water. But what do? You pour the glass of wine, you eat the cookie, you get on the couch, you watch the TV. When we get into overwhelm, we go to the comfort, we go to the protection, we go to the numbing. And so the idea is to get out of that fight or flight, to get ahead of it so that we are acting in accordance with what we know to be true. So we're able to even access the
Yeah.
executive function of our brain, which is the prefrontal cortex. But when we're stressed, we're in that limbic system, right? That
Hmm.
amygdala is kicked in, and that piece of you doesn't know the difference between, I'm going to sneeze.
Bless you. We got to
Thanks.
get it out.
I've got to get it out. That's right.
That's
Better
right.
out than in. Um, so, when you're in fight or flight and that amygdala takes over, we don't have access to our decision-making capabilities. And I think that every parent wants for their child to be making great decisions based on what they know to be true, not like, oh gosh, I'm just so stressed. I just have to feel better. Let me vape on this pen. I'm so stressed. Let me feel better. Let me go, drink some beers with my older friends. Or I'm so stressed. I have to feel better. Let me, bully other people on social media because it makes me
Yep.
feel better about myself. Like we don't want them so stressed that they start taking that stuff out in negative or destructive behaviors. And just like we as adults, when we are calm and in what I call stay and play, we're making better decisions. We're investing in ourselves. It's easier to eat the salad and go to the gym and have the face-to-face conversation with someone that we love versus all the
Hmm.
numbing behaviors. It's the same for our kids.
Absolutely. I'm just writing some notes down because you just said some amazing things that I want to really emphasize, right? What Emily was just saying, and we all have experienced this, right? When we're stressed, we look for external things to make us feel better. Things
Mhm.
outside that we need the chocolate, we need the wine, we need the music, we need the whatever, right? The video games. But what we want, and this is for ourselves too, right? As parents and also for our kids, we want to know that when we're stressed, we have internal tools, that
Yeah.
all we need is our mind, right? All we need is us, right?
Yeah.
And so that if you don't have the chocolate or you don't have, the internet, it's okay. You have the tools. And that's what we want, right? We want kids to feel like they are empowered and powerful enough to go through life no matter what it brings. So that's so key. And then
Mhm.
also, Emily just said, well, really, when you're meditating, you're accessing that the prefrontal cortex, right? The part of your brain that can make those good decisions, right? That can really, move forward and be creative. And for our kids, right? Remember, the younger you are, the less mature your prefrontal cortex is. And our prefrontal cortex, our brain requires experiences to make new connections, to make new synapses. And also those experiences will prune off and cut away some of those connections that we're not using. So right now our kids' lives are filled with screen, right? Zoom, video games, FaceTime, social media. So we don't want that experience to shape all of how their prefrontal cortex is developing, right? I mean, if we could really have, mindfulness, meditation, have that wired into their brains, then
Mhm.
their brains are going to be so much more resilient against all of the other stressors that are trying to create different connections that we don't really want.
Yes, 1000%. I love that idea of new experiences create new neural connections
Hmm.
and clips away the old ones that we're not that interested in. Like that's a big reminder for us as adults and certainly for our children. I love that. And one of the things I love about Ziva is that it's waking up your own internal pharmacy. Like we
Yeah.
have an internal pharmacy. It's just most of us forgot how to use it. And because, like you said, we've been looking so much for external
Hmm.
solutions.
Yeah. And
Those,
unfortunately, that is partly, I mean, medicine is kind of to blame for that too, right? We've kind of, conventional medicine has ingrained in us, right? Our society, that we need a pill for every ill, right? You need to be fixed. And it's like, well, we have the tools inside us. We just need to learn how to access them and use them.
yes, 1000%. And certainly there's a time and a place for that. But it's like if you can be self-sufficient, why not?
Yeah,
Uh, you know,
absolutely.
but the wine and the pills and the video games and all, it's like we need more and more of it. Even social media, it's like the brain wants more of that dopamine hit, and that's what becomes, the precursor for addiction.
Yeah.
So with meditation, though, it's like the opposite. It's like you're you're cutting the cords to all those addictions because you're starting to access your own dopamine and serotonin, which are bliss chemicals, but you're doing it in a self-sufficient way. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a really cool event on February 23rd, and it's called How to Raise the Happiest Kid You Know. And just a precursor, because I know we made a big deal, both of us, about not shoving negative emotions away, not like putting intense emotions down. And so that's sort of the paradox of the teaching, is that the more you can create space for your child to be exactly where they are and to feel the intensity of all the flavors of their emotions, that this paradoxically is the route to having the
Yes.
happiest child that you know. But if you're like, just be happy all the time and shh, don't cry, have a bottle, and shh, don't cry, have a toy, don't ever feel your feelings, which is how most of us were raised,
Yep.
then this actually leads to long-term suffering and repression. So we've got Dr. Mark Hyman, Dr. Shafali, my friend Radha Agrawal is going to teach a movement joy practice. Elena Brower is going to be there. Z Bunny is going to be there. And it's basically giving kids and mostly adults tools to be as resilient as possible, as happy as possible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
And I
that's
love,
1
so
p.m. on
February
February 23rd.
23rd, February
Mm-hmm.
23rd, 1 p.m. I'll
Mm-hmm.
post it in my stories and on my Instagram page. So just look for that. I'll send out an email reminder as well. So for those of you guys who get my email newsletter. So so important. I mean, this is really, I think, one of the most important things we can do for our kids, right? For ourselves. It's just, I'm getting so emotional. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been such a hard year for everybody. And oh my gosh, Emily.
I
Like,
know, I feel
I mean,
you. I
this
mean,
is
you can do it
so,
yourself, your
yeah.
family, and you see it, I'm sure, day in and day out, like the
Yeah,
real struggles that parents are facing, that kids are facing. And so you know better than anybody that this is the
yeah.
medicine that we
This is,
need now.
yes, this is really the best medicine that we can give to our kids, to ourselves. We need this, right? So as we think about, as moms, all the things that are out of our control. Our kids aren't in school. They're not seeing their friends. We haven't seen, the grandparents, right? It's like we want to
Mhm.
think, what do we have control over? We have control over what we put on their plate, right? So we can do that. We
Yeah,
have control over how much we hug them and the love we give to them, and we have control over what we can feed their minds, right? So feed their mind, feed their body, feed their soul, right? So I think this is, 2021, we need to build resilience. And this is one of the most important steps you guys can take. Oh, I didn't realize I was going to get so emotional.
yeah. I
But
mean, let it out. It's emotional. This is an emotional time.
yeah,
Like we're all mourning and we're changing and we're having to adapt. And you have been such a bright light and a sounding board for so many. Like I imagine people share with you like their deepest, darkest pain and suffering. And so you're holding your own transition as a human, as a mom, and then holding so many of your patients and students. And so I want to just commend you for living with so much joy, with so much integrity. And if you feel comfortable, I'd love to share about the scholarship piece that you emailed me about. Can I share
yes,
that?
yeah, because I mean,
Okay.
I'm so passionate about how do we, during the pandemic, it's just been heartbreaking, the inequities that are being brought to light, right? I mean, the social disparities, the racial disparities, it's heartbreaking. And so, yeah, I mean, we need to make a difference the way we can.
Yeah, and I just want your folks to know that like this is how amazing Dr. Song is, that when I reach out to partners, like we offer a commission. Like if you email about this course, that a percentage of that goes to you, because I know it takes work and time and creativity to promote someone else's program. And I want to acknowledge that. But y'all, Dr. Song is so amazing that she said, I would love to take my commission and donate that to scholarships to kids in need. And so I'm just so thankful to know you. The world is better because you're in it. I really appreciate the transparency with you sharing your experience of moving through COVID with your family, so many other people could learn from it. And I just think you're an angel among us.
Oh,
And Ziva
Emily.
Kids might not be here without you, because you were the first person that planted that first seed. So I'm
Oh,
really grateful to you.
and I'm so grateful to you. I mean, you are helping, you will help millions of children around the world. So yes,
Yeah.
we
I
are going
want to
to
empower
reach kids everywhere. So
a whole generation of kids to feel their feelings.
yes,
They don't have to
yes.
hold it in.
So guys, remember the launch party, February 23rd. I'll get that information out to you guys. Look for it's online. It's going to be an amazing event. That's when
Mm-hmm.
zivaKIDS officially launches.
Yep.
If you guys want a sneak peek of zivaKIDS, I put a link directly in my bio. So just go to healthykids_happykids, go to the link in the bio and just grab your free sneak peek and just see how amazing it is. And then once you get the sneak peek, then you will, I'm sure, through zivaMeditation, you'll get also an email for when the launch is going to happen. So that then you'll be guaranteed not to miss it because you don't want to miss the event.
And there's a great audio on there for parents called Best Day Ever. And it's a guided visualization for parents to say like, hey, how do I want to show up with my family today? How present do I want to be with my kid? And it's a great way to just clear all the emotional charge so you can be fully present. So that's a gift to any parents if they go to the link in your bio.
Yes, for sure. Well, thank you so much, Emily. Is there anything else that we as parents listening should know about zivaKIDS, or anything else that you would like to share with us?
Well, just a few people were posting and saying, I don't know how to get my 6-year-old to do this, or I don't know how my 4-year-old would ever be interested. And I would say, what if you don't even call this thing meditation, right?
Yeah.
Like, don't even say like, hey, I want you to meditate. I think you need to meditate. What if you be like, hey, I have a fun video. Would you watch it with me? Can we just watch
Totally.
a 2-minute video together and have them watch the trailer? Or, once you go, or just have them maybe join the event. If you can't join the event live, still register. So it's 1 p.m. on February 23rd. And even if you can't make it, register. We'll send you the playback of it. And then you can see a sneak peek into it. You can meet Z Bunny. They can see if they like my teaching style. And my guess is that once you have a taste of it, like your kid is going to actually be like begging you for it versus you having to be the meditation police.
Totally. And then another thing for like the older kids, if they're kind of digging in their heels and saying, I don't have time and I don't have blah, blah, blah. What you can do is say, hey, look, let's have a little contract here, right? Let's just agree, even if you don't want to, you don't think it's going to be any good or any fun, or you're not getting anything out of it, just commit to doing it, right? 3 videos, right? 7 days. Yeah. Whatever it is, just commit to starting. And then after 3-4 videos, then we'll talk again. Right. Because once you start, I mean, I'm telling you, it's really the best addiction to have. Right.
Yes.
So
because actually,
you want to make sure.
Independence, but it's making your brain healthier. So, and I think that's a great, like, make a contract, like put something on the table of like, okay, watch 3 of these videos and you get to decide, where we go this weekend for funsies or whatever, 3 videos and then you get the new book or whatever.
That's right. Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I can't wait for the launch party. It's going to be awesome. And Emily, I'm so grateful that you took this idea and ran with it. And now it's just so beautiful, right? You manifested zivaKIDS, and really the world is grateful. I'm so grateful because our kids need tools like this, and they need ways to make this a reality, make this a regular part of their lives, and us as parents too. So also know, right, you guys, it's zivaMeditation. There's a course for adults too, right? So if you're like, oh, now I really want to dig in myself, right? It's not just zivaKIDS. I mean, go look at zivaMeditation and just, I mean, really, really dive into it, right? I mean, you can start with Emily's book, Stress Less, Accomplish More, but her programs are amazing, all of them.
Yeah. Well, I'll put a link in right here for if people want to do the first 3 days of Ziva Online. That's our adult course. And people can do the first 3 days for free. My gift to you, that'll be our contract. Just do the first 3 days and then go buy yourself a book or something. But just try it 3 days, see if you like it. But actually, the parents starting now, by the time the course comes out in 2 weeks, you will have graduated from the course. You yourself will be a meditator. And then your kids will start to be able to see the shift in you. And it's like you're planting the seeds for them to be like, oh, what is that thing? Versus like, well, you say want me to meditate, but you're super stressed, right? Because our kids are very emotionally intelligent. And they can feel our stuff. So the cleaner our house is, the more we're going to be an inspiration and an example of
totally right. So that's it's zivameditation.com/preview. So guys, just try it. I mean, that's like a no-brainer, right? Try the first 3 days and just see. And as Emily said, I mean, really, when you want to teach your kids something, and have them embrace it, you need to know how to do it yourself, right? And so you will be able to speak to them from a place of knowledge and understanding, and passion, right? Once you start realizing how amazing this is for you, and you're going to want the same thing for your kids, and they're going to feel that. They're going to see, wow, this really helped. This makes mommy less crabby, right? Like
Yeah. One of
mommy's
our
not
kids wrote
snapping
in.
at daddy as much, right?
Yeah, one kid wrote in. She said, "My mom's a lot funnier after she meditates, and she yells at me a lot less." I was
Yeah.
like, putting that on the sales page.
That is a huge benefit. I
Yeah.
mean, my kids for sure would say that. So,
Yes. Well, it's
all
hard to
right,
imagine you
guys.
crabby or yelling, but thank you so much for having me. What a dream.
Oh,
What a
Emily, I'm so honored for you to take your time out today. Really glad, so glad to share this with the world. And guys, remember, try it yourself. Look for the launch party, and Emily and I are going to see you soon.
yeah. Bye, everyone.
Okay, bye.
Thank you, Dr. Song.
You're welcome. I'll see you soon.